science fiction author and writer on science in general, who co-created the Cybermen, who feature obviously in our second episode today. So, Carol, thank you so much for being with us today. Yeah.
Don't ask me anything about dates or places or names, because this is scholars.
So what name? So your dad was Kit Peddler, and he was kind of brought in, I think, to really inject a bit of kind of science acumen into the show, to really make sure that science was being kind of properly included, or to show that kind of went back in time and in history, but also obviously science is a very important part of it. I mean, can you tell us a little bit about your dad in terms of what sort of science credentials were and so forth?
How long have you got?
What about some 3 minutes?
Okay, well, it actually came about, and it's interesting that you told me that's how kind of was taken on. I don't know if I'm sure somebody on radio, a program called Tomorrow's World.
Yes.
He was on that talking about something that he was doing. And he, amongst other things, was very interested in cybernetics. He was a medical doctor and then a research scientist and so on and so on. In fact, he built his area of research was the retina, and he built the world's first artificial retina in Winnipeg. Fun fact. So that was what he was interested in. It may have been, it's too long ago for me to remember, he was talking about that on Tomorrow's World, but he mentioned to Raymond Baxter that he had some ideas for...
Somebody brought Parkinson.
He has his various ideas for the future. And Raymond Baxter said to him, well, you need to put them to Doctor Who. So as far as I know, that's how it came about. And they invited him to have these various ideas. And because he couldn't write anything much more than a postcard, they wrote to Jerry Davies, who was at the time script editor, because I didn't know one end of the script from the other. And they worked in very happy collaboration, not just on Doctor Who, but they also created a series, which again some people will remember, and will tell me what dates they were, a series called Doomwatch.
Yeah.
So they carried on working together. They were quite understood how they managed to do it with each other, actually. There seems to be an awful lot of laughing and drinking wine.
And when you were growing up, was Doctor Who a kind of important part of that? Did you all watch it together as a family, and was it kind of part of your sort of family life in a sense?
Well, it was an event. I mean, the first Doctor Who was an event. Again, people will remember that in those early episodes it was all a bit amateurish, and the scenery would quite often wobble. I don't think for a particular effect. I went to a shoot of one of the episodes once, and the Cybermen, who were very impressive. I mean, you'll see one upstairs. David Banks, who was the chief Cyberman, was an immensely tall actor anyway, so the stuff on top he was even taller. And at one point in that episode, somebody destroyed a Cyberman, and all this frothy stuff came out of his front. It wasn't that very liquid, so it wasn't anything very, very special or scientific.
And the idea, I think, behind the Cyberman is it's like a sort of fusion of biological parts with kind of machinery and so forth, which is actually, it's a lot of kind of body horror sort of. I mean, it's always been a favourite as a band, but recently, in terms of cinema and stuff, I've really embraced sort of body horror as I think kind of a sort of genre, if you like. But also in terms of your books and so forth, that's something you do touch on. I wonder whether you were influenced by your dad, or whether that's just something that you ended up moving into yourself.
No, but he died 45 years ago, so sadly he wasn't around.
So you died very young.
Yes, 53. Very suddenly. No, I mean I used to be a film censor for the British Broadcasting Association, so I've seen a lot of films of various genres. I suppose that's an influence, and I'm also the generation who grew up in the cinema, so that's very much part of it all. I'm also a psychoanalytic psychotherapist, so I hear things in the consulting room. So I say very quickly, nothing that's ever been said to me in a consulting room has ended up in any of my books. So no, my interest is much more in the horror that goes on in people's heads.
I suppose the other thing about Cybermen is the fact that they are divorced from emotion. Everything they do is completely without kind of conscience.
But that's the point. They developed by stripping themselves of anything that might hold up an being by feeling something or being worried by something or stressing over something. So anything that would harm her, that for words of domination, they strip themselves, they denuded themselves.
So I suppose, I mean, I guess the concept of monster is an interesting one in terms of Doctor Who, because you've got the sort of traditional monsters, but then there's also the sort of part of the kind of the psyche and stuff that is described as being, you describe people as being monsters when they behave in a particular way.
Well, it's psychopathy, but we're talking about psychopaths. You know, people who don't have the ordinary emotional, psychological wherewithal to be able to make relationships with other people. And the point about psychopaths, they don't have relationships, they just have ambitions.
And as somebody who is a writer, if you, I mean, I know this is a different world, but if you were approached to write a Doctor Who episode, is there a particular kind of threat or monster or sort of challenge that you would sort of put in the Doctor's way?
Well, I suppose given that I'm interested in internal world, I can say that, it would be something that perhaps wormed its way into people's minds and insisted on them doing things that were counter to who they would normally be, for example. So, eggworms.
Okay, great. And before we watch this episode of Doctor Who, which obviously is the one without the Cybermen, we're watching that next after that, is there anything you can just sort of share with us about your memories of your father, what kind of person he was from your point of view?
Okay, so don't show the episode, I'll just carry on for the rest of well, I mean, how to choose, really. He was the son of a slave-trained painter, and his dad, like him, was a doctor. Dad used to claim that he was the 6th generation of doctor going back to, well, it's Fleet Street, I think that was slightly accidental, but anyway, there were lots of doctors in his background. And it was interesting, he was brought up a Catholic, and that's actually rather important because after he wrote Doctor Who and Doomwatch, he became, again, some people might know this, he became very early on an environmentalist. And he was very passionate about what we were doing to the world. And sometimes you might, when first we had the whole thing about plastic carrier bags, I kind of said, listen, you were talking about this 40 years ago more. So yes, he was brought up a Catholic, and interestingly, the Catholic was his boho, well, should have been boho mother, so she insisted, and he gave all that up when he went off to medical school. And he said that because there was a part of me that was concerned that he would have a kind of deathbed conversion and go back to a dual water and car carrying atheist. And he died too soon to have a deathbed moment. But I think he probably had something of the, I mean, when I say zealot, I don't mean that insultingly. I mean, he was absolutely committed to questions of what we were doing to the environment. And I think there was, to be frank, a sort of faint religiosity to that. You know, that this was something that, well, we're still trying to think about it rather badly, but something that he took on as an issue that, and he talked about Gaia. I think his best book actually was one called Quest for Gaia, when he was looking, and again, I'm sure everybody knows, Gaia is the Earth organism which incorporates us. We are part of it all, and what we're doing is despoiling the Earth part of it. So yes, so he was a curious man. I think that's the best thing to say about him. He was always looking for new ideas, and he also painted and sculpted and so on. So he was.
Well, we really appreciate you coming over to share some memories of your father, and obviously we're going to watch the Cybermen and all their glory later on. I wonder what he would have made from all this time later, but big thank you for being here, Carol Topolski.